Hello, everybody. It's Christina Marie Weber, and I run a company called Christian Business Owners on Fire, and we help faith-based and spiritual business owners who want a more fulfilling and prosperous business or ministry while putting God, their purpose, and their relationships first on a daily basis. So those of you who've been following us know our process, but what we do is I do a monthly video, educational video, and I come up with a topic based on something I observed, a direct question somebody asked me, that's either a client or a prospect or someone considering working with me. And if I think it applies to a lot of people, I'll create a video for it. So we just had Father's Day when I'm recording this. So this month's video is on Christian dads in business. So I will tell you the biggest difference between like a secular business person and a Christian business person really is their focus on the family, especially related to marriage and children. Because the reality is that kids are very expensive. They're very expensive, they're very time involved, they require a lot of hard work, sacrifice, and a lot of times the more secular person prioritizes immediate financial benefits, comfort, and stuff like that. That really are involved. Those kind of things get slowed down when you are having a family. You can't just do what you want to do yourself all the time. And so, having kids, having a family, they take your focus off of work, which on one hand is a good thing, to be able to have something you're not, putting all eggs in one basket and your moods go up and down based on how work's going. Sometimes it's a nice diversion, but sometimes it's really gets in the way. Like, you need to get stuff done, you have conflicting priorities, a lot of tension there. So it's a two-edged sword here on the dads. I guess really what sparked my interest in doing this, other than this, it's Father's Day this month. There's a guy that's a new dad. He's an entrepreneur and he's openly faith-based, and he just got married in the last year, had his first baby, and I saw him at an event, and he said, things are going well actually, but I said, how's everything going with the baby? And and he just said, good, but I do need to work. And the way he kind of said it is, he realizes he needs to not feel guilty about working. And I validated that, because he does need to not feel guilty to work. His wife also works, but it is a juggling act, okay? So let me just start by saying I'm going to talk about 3 things that I notice with Christian dads in business that are doing it right. And one of the things I will say, that Christian dads in business don't always start this way immediately. It's really kind of an evolution process. It's like they take the first step in being willing to invest in something beyond themselves. And then it's kind of like it's a process. So when I describe these things, don't feel bad if you're thinking, well, I don't really think like that way, or maybe I kind of still do think the other way, because it really is a process. It's a lifetime process. And I'm really referring, when I talk about dads, I'm referring about the dad whose wife's pregnant, they got a little baby in the oven. I'm talking about the dad whose kids are launched. And I'm just saying dads, Christian dads, all different stages of the life cycle is what I'm referring to in this video. And especially, though, with the younger dads, and even the older ones, too, there's new elements of this. We've got, again, two-edged sword with COVID. We've got really flexible work environments, much more flexible than they used to be. People can work remotely, so it just makes things, possibilities open up that weren't there before as far as managing the work-life balance and all of that. The other thing, there's really been a change in the work in home and world dynamics. More women are going to college now than men, and having careers. Your woman that you had a kid with, your wife or whoever, may actually earn more money than you. I mean, it's not inconceivable now that the female could earn equal, if not more, than the dad. And the other element that comes into play is many families do require, really rely on those two paychecks. So it's not just that the guy's got someone at home taking care of everything, the wife more of a traditional thing. A lot of families, you're talking both people are working to some degree. And so that puts another element that creates a little bit of complication on this. So keeping that in mind, the first point is that I really see the evolution from a secular view to more of a Christian dad in business is they become ambitious for the right reasons. So Christian dads evolving, they stop seeing themselves just as a paycheck, and they really start valuing themselves as an important member of the family with important irreplaceable functions. It's not just paying the bills. Quite honestly, there were many generations where the men thought that was it. If I paid the bills and provided well, that's really all I'm really required to do. And it was kind of a cultural thing. They really did miss out on a lot of other things, but things have really different. And so Christian dads in business, I think, that are doing it well, they understand it's more to it than that. Yet they feel pressure with things that come up. They have more conflicting priorities, I think, than previous dads who were less involved in the raising of the kids, the helping out with different functions in the home, maybe on a bigger way than previous men did. But what I notice with Christian dads in business that are doing it well, they take their problem solving skills that they refine just from being a guy and being a business owner, and they apply those to these new frontiers of challenges now that you're trying to be more engaged, more giving in your relationships. I'll give you a couple of examples, or just an example. I have a dad. This is a guy whose kids are launched, but his wife's father his health was declining. Eventually, he did pass away, but it was in a different state, and the wife had to be there, and she really wanted him to be there with her, and so they made multiple trips, and it happened at a time that he was really busy in his profession, so it really did involve really struggle to try to figure out how to do that. The benefit was his wife, her dad did pass away, but just raved about just how dead on he was with just the support, the love. I mean, so he really hit the home run with what he did. But was it easy? No. And so Christian dads in business, they don't leave their solving skills at work. They figure out how to solve problems in their personal life as well, so that they are really operating well on all the levels, not just financial and career. The other thing, as far as being ambitious for the right reasons, Christian dads in business doing it well, they come to accept over time that you can be both excellent at work and be a great husband and father. And that can be kind of scary when you don't have a proven track record, like you're just starting your business, you're new as being a dad. It does require faith to say, okay, I'm going to trust that I can still do well at work and be a great dad and husband. So what the irony of it is that being a good husband and father and being a good person really requires developing virtue, growing in virtue. And you know what? That's the same thing that how to become an outstanding business owner. They're the same thing, is developing those virtue. And so that over time, these dads start to realize actually these are not separate compartments, and men are more compartmentalized in how they approach things. There's actually a lot of blending. I can develop these skills at home, learning to be more sacrificing, more thoughtful, problem solving, the conflicting priorities and everything. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be less at work, that I'm going to do more poorly at work. Actually, those skills transfer to work, make you better, more effective. So what you're doing as a dad that's really intentional about doing both of them, and it really does take people being intentional. This is not natural, and I contend it's because of our fallen nature. We're not naturally inclined to put the effort in to juggle these seemingly conflicting roles. But when men commit to that, they actually become more well-rounded. This makes them better at their work environment in ways, not just the virtue, but just the practical human formation of not being so one-dimensional in who you are. Just a real, I do this and you take care of everything else, or we just don't have kids or whatever. The other thing is, it really helps them understand business better, because you know what? Business is about people. And if all you're doing is laser focused on strategies and this and that, and you're really not developing those people skills and the nuances and understanding all of that world, you're not going to be as good in business. You're going to get to a cap, because it's the higher levels in business where you really need to be more of a whole person to pull it off. So first one is they become ambitious for the right reasons. Number two, they learn to appreciate the paramount importance of their roles and responsibilities. This is, women, I hate to say it, but this is the reality. Your kids are going to follow the example in terms of religiosity, practicing their faith from the dad. You could be Mother Teresa, but if the father in the home is not active in his faith, religion, and practicing it, the chances of those kids, your kids, sticking with the faith is minimal. It's just the way it is. So it's a very important role for men to understand. There's no substitute for it. For you modeling being a man who's practicing your faith. A man that really understands the paramount importance of his role, he does things in the right order, and he's not feminized. He doesn't try to be like the woman. He doesn't try to take over the woman's realm of the home and the family. I don't care if you're both making the same amount of money, or even she makes more, or you're working a certain number of hours. There are differences between men and women and fathers and mothers that we have needs. So one thing is the right order, especially if you have kids, is let the woman be the lead in the nurturing of the children. That's what she's made for. That's how her body's even designed. Let her be that lead. Don't try to be the mom if you're a dad. Don't try to take over that role. She's good at the relationship. She's good at the education of the kids and all the, the teaching. But what you do, especially with the young kid, you take care of the wife. Let the mom be the focus of the kids. And I'm not saying don't hug your daughters, don't hug your sons, don't ever teach me, but let the woman, that's her realm. You don't want her taking over your role in the family as the head of the household. Let her be hers. And don't be feminized by that. Men are designed hormonally. They're stable, steady Eddie. That's really a masculine trait. They can be calm under fire. Women are hormones up or down. That's part of what attracts men to women. I mean, that's exciting, but it's not the best thing when you've got crises and stuff. You want someone steady, stable. Don't be the feminine up and down. And it's a real challenge for men who didn't have a father figure in their life, and they were maybe raised by women, and they haven't developed that. But you can develop it later in life, and I would encourage you to do that by having male mentors and things like that, if that's something that was missing in your background. So the Christian the Christian dad in business, he thinks long term. He thinks legacy. The things you're doing, what's that scripture? What you do and negatively affects 3 to 4 generations, the sins of the father. But what you do positively affects thousands of generations. So a man who really gets it, a Christian dad in business who really gets it, takes this very seriously. They think about, what am I doing in my professional life? What am I doing with my family that is going to make me make this continue beyond me. He's thinking that way, and that's a good way to do it. The other thing the man does for both his daughters and his sons, the man, even again, if the woman's out there working, women work differently, even in the world, even doing the same position. We do it differently if you're being feminine, if you're being in line with your gender. But a man really teaches, especially a Christian dad in business, really teaches all the kids how to navigate the external world well, as a man of faith. He doesn't do that. The woman, that's not really her strength. Really, women, we kind of bring some of that nurturing stuff into the workplace, which is an advantage, but usually it's not our strength to really navigate the whole dynamic and stuff. That's what men are good at. And so when you when you have a father that's doing that, for the kid, they do better. It's easier for them to succeed in the world. So again, mothers have important roles, again, even if she's a working mother outside the home. But men have this, it's innate in men. And there's, not even saying it's a good old boys network. Just men are good at this. Men are good because they're designed, look at their bodies, they're designed to be outward focused. So the third point is men, Christian dads in business that are doing it right, they allow love to change them. I just can't not say this. J.D. Vance has a book out called Communion. He talks about his conversion story. This is his story. This is his conversion story. It was the falling in love with his wife that made him want to be a better man. And he realized he wasn't applying the tools, didn't know how to do it, and so he got more serious about his faith. It's an awesome read. I haven't read it, but I've seen multiple interviews of him talking about it, and other people have read it and they said it's fantastic. But this is a theme in it. It was when, that's why I say this is a process. It's not like men wake up and they're just all these things I'm describing. They say a little yes. The first yes is to respect the woman, respect her, and part of that is, honor her with a marriage and doing things the right way, the right order that protects the woman. When women are basically giving the milk away, when there's no charge, she's really vulnerable, She's vulnerable to getting pregnant. She's vulnerable to being abandoned. There's no legal thing, depending on how long you've been doing that. I mean, the man starts by treating the woman with respect. And part of that's making that commitment to marriage and making that commitment to fatherhood and stepping up, even if he's scared, even if he doesn't know, how am I going to do this? What I notice is that the men that do that, because it does feel overwhelming. How do I earn? How do I do all this stuff? How do I be who I need to be? When I'm used to doing whatever I want, and it's like, no, I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to grow, and it is a growth thing. So what it does is it helps men move from selfishness to selflessness. Men are naturally more selfish, and they kind of need that in a way to navigate the world, like I said. But that to an extreme is not good either. And so he is opening himself up by, engaging in this role, letting God show him how to do it well, and really smooth over the rough edges. He moves, not completely self-abandonment, but to really learn to be an other first kind of leader when he engages with this. Growing to find the significance of what really matters. That was one of the things J.D. Vance said in one of his interviews. He said, I was very big all into achievement. Obviously, he's a senator in his 40s, vice president this time. I mean, this is a young guy, high achiever. And then when he fell in love with his wife, he realized and learned more about his faith, took it more seriously. Those things weren't really important. Those weren't the most important. I mean, yeah, you need to be able to support your family and stuff like that, but his everything was on that. And then it just showed him when he let love change him, It just showed him, no, that's important. This is more important. And it helped him learn the priorities. What's interesting is this fatherly love, this husbandry love, often shows up in how a Christian dad in business treats his employees. He often becomes a mentor and a father figure when done right to a lot of his team, and it's a beautiful thing, because going back to those people that never maybe didn't have that naturally in their life, what a gift to be working for a man who's really developed this and is appropriately being that mentor within the workplace. And you can say in the workplace, but they see the other things you're doing. They see how you treat your wife. They see, the life you're building outside the workplace, and that really means a lot. It's a big impact. So, to conclude, this is why I love business. It forces you to grow. To do it right, it really forces you to grow. God knows what He's doing when He made us to procreate. I'm in a parish where there's lots of young families. They talk about if your parish isn't crying, it's dying. Well, ours is definitely crying. Sometimes you can hardly hear anything. There's so many young children and family. And I'm a recent empty nester. You look at some of these young families and they just look absolutely exhausted, and just the kids really wearing them down. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing because what it does is when you commit to that, it forces you to have to do things differently. And then you add being a business owner on top of it, which are a lot more responsibilities than just being an employee. You're really challenged. You're really challenged to grow, and we can't really pull it off without God. So God's designed to help all of us move out of that perpetual selfish adolescent state that many people are currently in throughout their whole life. They never grow up. They never learn that into the people He desires us to be. So I love working in this realm with people, and I would love to help you with this. If this resonates with you, really the next step is to do one of my vision sessions. It's basically where I help you look at your holistic vision. I don't compartmentalize. They all work together. All the areas of your life work together, and they can work together in a very positive way, or if you never really take the time to look at it, they can be tearing you in all these different directions and you're not making any traction. I can help you do that in this session. So if you're interested in do that, go to talkwithchristina.com, talkwithchristina.com. Have a great day.